I'm John Sicotte, executive editor of the Brewer magazine. Welcome to another edition of the Brewer magazine podcast as we get deep into discussing business resource strategies throughout the industry from all over the country. And of course, you can like and subscribe to wherever you're listening. They're on Spotify, YouTube. Make sure to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I think that's it. Brewermag.com. There's all the other places. Well, beer and music, of course, go hand in hand for a lot of us. And we've talked about the importance before of helping diversify your audience and find new avenues of sales. And Asbury Park Brewery in New Jersey, well, they're no stranger to blending the art of brewing with the amazing music scene that they have to offer in that area. And Brian Durand is joining us from the new Asbury Park location. They just moved there this year, and he takes us behind the scenes of their new project as they're exploring Asbury Park with the Gaslight Anthem, a new beer collab called Stay Lucky that just came out. We'll talk about the decisions behind its flavor profile, the approach to marketing that ensures that this beer is resonating with both new and loyal customers. Well, Brian Durand, thanks a lot for hanging out with us and talking a little bit about some music collabs at your brewery. How's it going for you guys?
It's going great. I mean, we just finished our first summer in our new location, so it was great. Now it's getting everything back in line, a little cleaning, so on and so forth. But, we have a concert tonight, so we're right back on the way.
Well, obviously music matters at Asbury Park Brewery. So, what kind of was the background of how the brewery, is involved so much with music? I mean, give me a little background on why that's important to you guys.
So we started back in 2016. At the time, I wasn't there. I used to work for a distributor who I managed the brewery for distribution across the state of New Jersey. But when it was open, there was four guys who opened it, a guy by the name of Bob McLean, Jeff Plate, Chris Cornell, and Mike Pimko. And it's very simple. They all played in local bands in and around Asbury Park. Some of them played in Europe, some of them played, quite a few places. So, and they all enjoy beer. So the two just kind of came together really, pretty organically. And then being that we are Asbury Park, depending on where people are listening from, Asbury Park is one of the most historical towns when it comes to music in the country. I mean, the amount of people who have played here or who have come out of here will make your head spin.
Just a few.
Yeah.
And one of them is the Gaslight Anthem in your area, which is a newer band, been around for a while, but and you guys worked on a collaboration with them with this new beer called Get Lucky. It's a song from one of their new albums, and kind of take us through what the band, how you know them, how they know you, and how you guys got to putting this beer out like just a couple weeks ago.
So one of our partners, Bob, owns a music management business, and Gaslight is one of his bands. And they were, I've always heard about Gaslight. They're from New Jersey. They're local guys. I have a couple of their albums, and they're doing an episode of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives right around the corner. So Bob's like, why don't you come over there and just say hi to people, and occasionally like a stand-in or whatever. So all right, no problem. So I go over there, and the whole band is there, and the lead singer, Brian, is sitting there, and we just start talking, how do you spell your name, all that type of stuff. And he's like, we got to do a beer together. And I'm like, okay. And Bob is Bob is a marketing genius and everything. He's like, yeah, why don't we just do a beer together? We're Jersey guys, we're local, everything else like this. And as Brian's talking, he keeps bringing up stores in my town. He's like, yeah, I go by Colonial. I'm like, Colonial? And Colonial is a deli right around the corner from my house. I'm like, so we start going back. I'm like, where do you live? He goes, dude, I live in Point Pleasant. Turns out he lives 2 streets away from me. And so we just started shooting shit and going through everything else like that. And he says to me, he's like, my favorite beer is Sea Dragon, which is our one of our IPAs. And he goes, let's make a beer together, but let's make it like 10%. And I'm like, whoa, easy. He goes, we'll call it Day Ender. And I'm like, all right, Brian, we want him to have a couple more than one. And he's a great guy. He's shot out of a cannon all the time. He's like, no, it'll be great. We'll make 9 to 10% beers. Everybody will get shit-faced. It'll be great. I'm like, no. We'll do it like 5 to 6, somewhere in there, and we'll figure it out so that people can have a couple more than that. He's like, all right, this is going to be great. And then I just said, well, what style do you like? He's like, Sea Dragon is my favorite, but let's do something maybe a little bit of hazy or something like that. And so I got with my brewer, gave him the suggestions. We did 2 different ones, and then the third one is the one we settled on, and it became Stay Lucky.
Yeah, and it is fun because when the band is as excited with you, it's not just hey, we're going to slap your name on our stuff and you guys are going to promote our stuff. It is actually, there's that excitement level. And I mean, how did it work? Did you guys bring the guys in? Did what was the process leading up to it and getting to that beer that you wanted?
Well, we had moved. It took us 2 years to move from our one location to the location we're in now. So they had come to our grand opening, and we were just sitting around there talking about it, and they're all really excited about the whole thing. I mean, they all had their little preferences, and then we just narrowed down what the preferences would be. We narrowed down the alcohol content and the style and everything else like that, and then we went to our brewer like, this is what we're trying to do. And he's like, okay, give me some time. And he went back and he worked up some recipes. And like I said, we tried a couple of them, and then we finally settled on the third version, and it did fantastic. We sold out all the cans and all the draft in 2 weeks.
This isn't the first time you guys have done this, working with bands and creating something? No,
we did years ago. We did something with the Front Bottoms, and we also did one with Panic at the Disco.
Oh, wow. And is it something the way I think of it, because brewing is an art, music is an art, but they both have this other piece, which is consumers, people that, are taking this in, but sometimes they're not the same consumers. So you're creating sometimes, now you might be beer fans and they might be music fans. Are you introducing this band to your base and they're introducing your brand to them? I mean, is that some of the reasons why you like to be able to do something like this?
100%. And we work in the beer business. It's supposed to be fun. So when you get a group of people and, they're good people and you want to hang out with them, it's cool to make a beer. Like I said, Brian now knows my mom. I've met his kids before. Like, it's like you're hanging out with your friends and, you're making beer. And it's one thing we try not to do here, which, is overthink the room. We make great beer. We do a lot with music. And hanging out with your friends, drinking great beer, and listening to music. That's it. We don't try and go too far off the rails with anything else.
Yeah. When it comes to kind of getting and gearing up for the sale, it seemed like you said you guys sold out pretty quick. Was there a lot of marketing effort past saying we're going to do this? I mean, how do you guys plan for a release and know how much you want to put out there even?
Well, we got lucky because they were having a show down the street at the Stone Pony. So that was number one. So the biggest thing was getting everything from, pen and paper, making it all work out and getting it done before the concert. So after we worked on all those stuff and the canning line and getting the labels done and everything else like that, that was the first part. The second part is we are very, very fortunate here. We have a marketing manager who is, I don't know how old. Charlotte's like 26 years old, and she just gets it. And she does all this stuff on social media. She does it with not just social media, but like getting it out to everybody else. And then we also hired a publicist for opening of or the moving of the brewery. Her name is Monique. And we, between the two of them, they put it out to all these different outlets. We were in Forbes magazine, Brewers magazines. We were in music magazines, like all over the place. So it kind of encompassed every person from beer drinkers to your point, music lovers. And I normally find they're kind of the same people anyway. So it just works. It just worked perfectly. And again, it was because you're dealing with people who are good, easy people to deal with. It's not hard. It was more fun than anything else. Sure. The names, I mean, you've probably been involved. The names that people come up with is the best part of being in the beer business. Because there's some of them are either the best ones or the dumbest names you've ever heard of. And that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
We were going to call it Brian Smash at one point because him and I spell our name the same way. And he's like, because everybody will get smashed. I'm like, not doing that one.
Well, and that's the part of it. Like coming up with a name is probably like they named songs, you guys name beers, so there's going to be a lot of creativity in it. How did you decide on taking a name of a song and applying to it instead of coming up with something that was unique?
Well, that was Bob and Brian specifically. They came up with that one. They came up with the name. Obviously, it's from a song on their, I think it's 2010 album. And so they came up with it. And then we have a guy, another Brian, it's kind of, and everybody spells it the correct way, Brian. So they, who lives a couple streets away, who's been doing our labels since 2017. And we said, listen, this is what we want to do. Turns out he is a massive Gaslight Anthem fan. I actually saw him at the show that day. And he came up with the look of the can just because he listens to him all the time. So he had like the dice in there and then the Sea Dragon, which is ours, and he just did it all together, and it was pretty cool. And again, he's been working with us so long, he just gets our labels. I can tell him exactly what I want it to look like, and he nails it within 2 times. It's awesome.
Sure. And that's exactly, I mean, and like you said, he goes under the name Thunderclap for, I saw that in the press release that he was working on it. Having someone that gets it too, and obviously he's not exactly outside the room looking in, but understands your brand, understands the band. That had to, like you said, make it so much easier because I'm sure you've probably worked with other things that weren't as easy, I bet, because when you're trying to come up with label art, trying to come up with a name. I mean, sometimes they're like, yeah, we'll just throw it against the wall and hopefully this one sticks. But you do want to make sure that you do something correctly. Is that a really key part for you guys? Is naming, branding one of those important pieces?
Yeah, I mean, well, there's 2 parts. First of all, Bob is a marketing genius. I mean, his bands and some of the bands that he represents are some of the biggest bands in the world. So he knows how to market. So it's normally his direction that we go with. And then Brian, again, who's been around forever, he lives 2 streets away. So he'll walk over here and we'll just start like spitballing stuff at him. And after like, a half hour, he's like, I got it. I know what we're going to do. And then he'll literally walk back over here a week or so later, bring out his laptop, show us what we got. And we're like, all right, well, can we do this, this, and this? And again, because we've been working together for so long, it's pretty easy and seamless, and nobody's ego gets hurt or like, all right, take this out, put this here, do this, do that. And it works perfectly.
Nice. How about when it comes just to creating that beer, not stepping on your own toes or recreating and just basically grabbing a beer in the catalog that you guys had already made and putting a new label on it, but actually having that, a new, at least flavor for someone to be able to enjoy and not be like, this just tastes like the hazy you guys make normally. Like it's something special that is created just for the band. I mean, did that be part of it just to make sure that you're not having that stepping on each other type of thing?
It's exactly what it was. And our brewer, Andy, is, he's very meticulous, to put it mildly. So, we have other hazy beers, IPAs, so on and so forth. But then when he's going back and forth with just like, if we use Mosaic and we do it this way, or if we use Simcoe or Galaxy Hop and we do it this way, I can get these notes out of it and these notes out of it. Because we wanted it approachable, number one. We wanted it to have the color and the haze that we were looking for. And then with the because the band and the whole playful attitude of it, I know it sounds kind of corny, but you can actually get like a playful kind of attitude with tasting. And we gave all that to Andy. He went away to his nook and came back. He's like, this is what I want to do. And we're like, okay. And he nailed it. So it kind of worked out perfectly. Again, we don't try and overthink the room here. It's everybody knows what they do. They know what they do well. So we get, whatever our process is going to be, everybody does it. We come back at the end, and 9 times out of 10, it works perfectly. And if not, it goes down the drain. So,
Well, and like you said, it sold out quick. What's the reaction been from consumers? You guys go back and check, make sure it was, a beer that you guys, made right and people enjoyed, and how you can build from there. What was the reaction, and what did you learn from this release?
Everything we got was positive, number one. Number two was people, it's funny about how many people just want to, you were saying before about some people were music fans and some people were brewery fans. Some people are just buying the can to have the can. Like, and they wanted, I'm like, how'd you like it? Like, oh, we didn't drink. I'm like, what do you mean you didn't drink it? It's like, oh, I want the can for my my shelf or whatever. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And then other people were just like, it was fantastic. This was great. Do you have any more? And we're like, it was only a one-off for this thing here. So, we're it's going to go into our vault of recipes. We might bust it out later on or do something else with them. But everything that we got from everybody from beginning to end was nothing but positive. Nothing, it was really cool that everybody grabbed hold of it so well. And it's well when they keep coming back. Because you see the same faces all the time. So they just keep coming back, give me a 4-pack, give me a 4-pack. And, a lot of guys will be walking because we're on like the main drag of the town. So after work, they'll come in here, they'll grab a 4-pack and go on because the only place you can get it is here. So it obviously is working well because I see the same people coming in all the time to get more and more.
Awesome. Well, what else is new with you guys? What the new location and what was the impetus for doing that? Was it ran out of room, needed more room, needed a better location? What got you to the
new? So I came over in May 30th of 2022, and we were in the process of, the other place where we were at was just a logistical nightmare. There's a dollar store and a food or a grocery store, and then our street was in between. So just the parking and getting in and out of, you could put a Yugo into some of the potholes that were on this road. So it wasn't really easy to get to or anything else like that. So we're like, all right, we're going to move it. But it took us a while to move it for a million different reasons. But so when we moved, we got here 2 days before Labor Day of this year. Yeah, Labor Day. It was Labor Day, Memorial Day. And so when we were here, and from the day we opened, it has been literally nothing but positive. We have all those Yelp stuff that you look at. Everything is always, great atmosphere, great feeling. And in the brewery itself, because of what we were saying about with the town, there's a local artist. His name is Pork Chop. He's phenomenal. He does great work. And so, like I said before, we do music and we do beer and we do hanging out with your friends, listen to music and beer. So if you came into our tasting room, one whole side of it is all vinyl records, like that we actually play. And people get blown out that we actually play the entire album from front to back. Like, you're not going to bounce around. I'm like, no. And we're very militant about our music. You're not going to be hearing some stuff, it's no top 40, no whatever. So it's like the Ramones or Gaslight Anthem or whatever. So that whole side is the records. And on the other side, Pork Chop did a mural for all the bands that have played in Asbury. And it's almost as if who didn't play then did, because there is everybody from Stevie Wonder, Public Enemy, Ella Fitzgerald, obviously Bruce Springsteen, Iron Maiden, like you name it, they've played in Asbury Park. So that's all one side of the wall, and people spend hours looking at it. And then on the other side of the wall, I was one of those kids who always kept my concert tickets. So when we were about ready to open, we put out, Charlotte, our social media manager, put out something like, does anybody have all their own ticket playlists, playbills from Asbury? How to be specifically from Asbury. And the amount of stuff we got back was boxes and boxes full. So this guy, Pork Chop, made one whole wall of memorabilia from the town itself. And sometimes people just come here and stare at the walls and take pictures for, 15, 20 minutes. It's awesome. So we've been very lucky with the town and all of our customers, everybody loving it, coming here. And, like I said, we now know a lot of people. And on the side note is we're dog friendly. So we know the dogs sometimes more than we know the people, because it's the same people coming in with all these dogs and everything else like this. So it's a pretty cool communal thing going on, and it's been working for us.
Very cool. When it came to finding a location, you said you came in on during part of this, but was it like, did you kind of have a checklist of what you knew you needed? Because once you open a brewery, it's almost like we just want to get open. We just want to be able to serve beer and enjoy. And then you're like, oh crap, this is what I actually want our brewery to be. So you kind of get that chance on that move to get what you want out of it. Did you guys kind of get through that checklist?
We're still getting through it. There's nothing perfect. And so, we'll have certain, and as you know, everything breaks in a brewery. So as soon as that's going on, you always have to figure out something. But, it took us about 2 months, to figure out, we have to store this because we only have a certain amount of room here, and this has to be moved over here. And we've kind of figured it out. Obviously, we're still learning stuff day to day, but it's we're always learning and figuring out how to make the space that we're in a little bit easier and better. Like I said, Andy, our brewer, he's very meticulous. So things have to go in certain spots and everything else like that. And it took a while to figure out what works best for him and for the building itself so that everybody runs smooth.
Any new collaborations on the horizon? What's the next band that you guys are going to be working with? Any tips that are coming out right now we can break some news?
Well, we're probably going to be doing something again with the Front Bottoms because they're also local guys that we know about. And there are 2 others, but I can't tell you until we do it. But one of the things is because we're a local beer and we're local guys and people, like I said, my partners played in Asbury when there were, 15 different places. So a lot of it has to do with local people who have these bigger bands, but started in New Jersey or started in Asbury. So we try and keep that whole local thing going the entire time.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to it, and we appreciate you taking the time to talk.
Thanks, man. This has been fun. Thank you.
Don't forget, you can always check on brewermag.com. You can also see us on YouTube and listen to us on Spotify. And don't forget daily updates on Facebook, Instagram, and X. I'm Executive Editor John Sicotte for brewermagazine.com.